Check, check, 1, 2. Perfect. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. First of all, you may have heard that GitHub has shipped a new editor called Atom just yesterday. Atom is based on web technologies, and thus it's easily extensible. You can find out more about Atom on atom.io. Currently, you will need an invitation to take part in the beta program. Round robin us at mike@github.com or jdennis@github.com. James Dennis is the other hubber who joined me on that trip. And we're going to send out invitations to everyone who's interested in giving Atom a try. Alright, let's get started. I'm Mike from GitHub, and I work on technical support for the GitHub Enterprise product, ranging from giving Git workflow advice over to debugging Git repository corruptions or issues with the underlying Linux operating system. First, I would like to thank you for having me here. I really appreciate the invite, and I'm glad to be here today. When I first started drafting that talk, I asked myself a simple question. Why should everyone help out with support from time to time? Of course, by the end of the talk, we will have found some answers to that. But before we dive into support, let me just give you a few information about GitHub real quick. So GitHub is a hosting company for software development projects. That's what the Wikipedia says. And it has been founded in 2008. Our core products are GitHub.com and GitHub Enterprise, the on-premise version of GitHub.com, and of course we're also a little more than just another hosting company. We offer Git training worldwide on my own site. We sponsor events or host drink-ups to connect with the local community. We have our very own YouTube channel, teaching you all things Git. And we speak on conferences about how we run our company. Our mission is to make it easier to work together than to work alone. That's essentially what drives our company. So, oh, that's bad. First of all, a disclaimer. I've always been a die-hard sysadmin in my career. I've always been administrating servers, a couple hundred machines at once, and I've always been interested in automating the infrastructure, and yeah, that's pretty much what I was working on for the past couple of years. And when I told my former co-workers at the company I was working before GitHub, they've asked me just one big question, and that big question was, oh my god, why did you take a support gig, talking to end users all day long? What happened? And yeah, basically that's pretty much why. Support is much older than any other job in the computer business. It's basically as old as humans sell stuff to each other. Remember those conversations you've had with a cave troll next to you a couple of 100,000 years ago? Like, yo dog, that hat you sold me 2 days ago. It literally just broke on first usage. Make me a new one. A couple 100,000 years later, things became more interesting when we opened up stores for the very first time. You know, those general goods stores where you were able to buy almost anything. The ones that don't exist anymore, or at least not in reality. You can still find them in Skyrim though, or pretty much any other computer role-playing game. However, the thing about stores was that you still had to go back to the shop to get your broken tool fixed. In 1876, the telephone got invented. In 1894, the switchboard got invented, and that brought things to a whole new level. The adoption rate of the telephone in the early 20th century made it a lot easier to receive and provide support on the phone. In the 1960s, we have sort of industrialized phone support. and invented the call center. We've put people into cubicles and let them talk to the customer on the phone. I love how they turn on all the screens in this picture, although nobody's working there at all. So I guess the customer simply doesn't have any issues with the product. Anyhow, this picture is also a great example for why many people think support or working in support is a bad idea or an entry-level job. And in my opinion, this just has to end because working in support is not like that. Support is also not like working on an assembly line. Like, you're not performing the same steps over and over again each day. It's pretty much like, or more like firefighting after all. Working on something with a highly trained team, eager to learn new stuff and take on new adventures if needed, and helping the users to get productive again, like helping the damsel in distress. I feel great now. So, how do we run support at GitHub? We have 26 people sitting all over the world in all major time zones, providing email support only. And we separate between support for GitHub.com and support for enterprise. Not because it makes the most sense, but mainly due to historical reasons. The .com team provides support for GitHub.com and all of our native clients. That means technical support for Git repositories or the API, for instance. But it also means account support, unlocking and locking user accounts, and of course incident management in case when things went horribly wrong. The enterprise team, on the other hand, takes care of GitHub Enterprise only due to the complexity of the product. Plus the fact that we also have to take over on-call shifts, as we allow our customers to escalate tickets if needed. Like, for instance, when there's a Git repository that got corrupted for some reason, or a VM that doesn't boot anymore, our users can then escalate the ticket and we get back to them within 30 minutes. We also hop on conference calls from time to time. Pretty much in any case, when there's a major corruption with the VM's disks, for instance. Not so much because it helps to get the problem resolved, but mainly to calm down the nerves of the guy sitting in the lurch. Both teams have in common that we commit to the various code bases at GitHub on a regular basis. So if there's a bug we can fix by ourselves, for instance, we are going to file an issue, squash the bug, issue a pull request, ask for a review, and it then gets merged into master. And if there's time, we also hack on different product features with other developers as well. In the future, we would like to see both teams to collaborate a bit more. And presumably, one day in the not too distant future, we're also going to merge ourselves into a single team. On certain occasions, like popular holidays, when most people want to spend time with their loved ones, or our annual internal conference, for instance, the support team can hit the bad signal. That is sort of like the big red, oh shit, please help button that will result in all the people at GitHub helping out with support. So in this case, it's not just the support team answering our users' tickets anymore. It's pretty much the entire company. And that's greatly appreciated since support just never stops. It doesn't really matter whether it's Christmas or New Year's Eve or your girlfriend's birthday, support just runs and runs and runs. At GitHub, we run support with 5 core principles in mind. The first one is never get in a fight. People are sometimes angry for whatever reason. Sometimes I'm angry for whatever reason. And getting into a fight just is not going to help anybody. The second one is don't insult your users. Essentially, never bite the hand that feeds you. This goes along well with the fact that we don't make fun of our user base. So no matter how crazy people's questions are, I wouldn't be afraid to let them access our internal communication about their issue. That conversation happens on such a professional level that in almost any case you won't find any sarcasm in it, and that's pretty much how you should treat your users, also inside the company, although they don't have access to that communication. Number 3 is don't overuse "I'm sorry." If there's somebody in the audience who's able to perform sign language, I would like to have this one verified that this means sorry. I'm not sure actually, but Flickr says I'm sorry. So, don't overuse "I'm sorry." If we have messed things up, like taking the site down for half a day or not fixing the bug in GitHub Enterprise as soon as possible, we do apologize, of course. But when people file feature requests, for instance, we just don't say to them, "I'm sorry that we don't support that particular feature," like side-by-side this. There's usually a very good reason for not implementing certain features into GitHub, and thus there's no real reason for an excuse. Number 4 is don't pretend to know everything. Instead, be open and honest and tell your users that you simply don't know, but that you will learn and investigate or ask others to help to get the issue resolved. Knowing everything today is just not possible, and everyone who thinks he does is a fool in my eyes. These days it's all about teamwork, especially in support. The last one is avoid advertising verbiage. Like advertising new products in a support conversation is usually a no-no. You have to focus on the solution with the things that are involved in the issue, and bringing another product into play usually results in a shit show. We also never advertise our products like Git is better than CVS or Subversion. And we also don't tell people, join GitHub, it's free. There are very good reasons to join GitHub, but that it's free isn't really one of them. So, and thus we don't emphasize on that it's free. In a nutshell, all those five rules result in be a human and be nice. And if you can't be nice on that day for some reason, just pass the ticket on to somebody else. Because we all have these dark days where we're grumpy and don't want to work, and where everything else is going to shit. Birth of a superfan. These principles I've just shown to you eventually result in happier users, or better called superfans. And the following example is a short conversation between one of our users and Paul Betts. Paul Betts is another GitHubber developing software on our native clients team. So the user reported, totally loving it today with the Windows client and been loyally using it since it came out. But does it really need to take up 2.5 gigabytes of space? No, it doesn't. So 2 hours later, Paul responded the following. That's totally not cool and not expected. Can you tell us specifically which folders are taking up so much space? In a couple of minutes, the user got back to us. As soon as I get back home, I'll send you the juicy details. That'll happen tomorrow. I must say I'm positively surprised by your responsiveness. Thought it would take a day or two at the least for any reply to arrive. ultimately, we filed that as an issue, got it fixed, and released a new version. And because Paul interacts with the code base regularly, he was able to get this fixed quickly. He's the developer on one of those native clients, after all. And this is essentially how you turn people into superfans. Other examples are when we help people to fix Git repositories that got corrupted for some reason, or when they've ran into troubles with the enterprise VM. So Joachim, for instance, tweeted, "Just had a major Git crisis at work. Thankfully, GitHub Enterprise support followed up and helped us sort it out. Worth every penny." And Dan said, "It needs to be said again, GitHub Enterprise support people are amazing. When you're in a pinch and need help, they deliver." I can't stress enough how rewarding that is, to see people tweeting about the support experience they've had. And that constant and sometimes public feedback loop you're in is one of the most rewarding aspects of working in support. And that's also something you will probably enjoy the most when helping out with support in your company, because everyone deserves a pat on the shoulder from time to time. So let's answer that question already. Why help out? Here's why. Helping out with support will result in more stable software. Long-standing bugs get squashed faster once a developer has seen firsthand how it affects the user's product experience, like in the example with Paul and the Windows client taking up too much space that I've just shown you. It also provides valuable insights on different levels. Ever wondered how the products you're working on looks from the user's perspective? Helping out in support will let you find out. How's your company's reputation? You'll learn about that too. There are also learnings to take away that have applications outside of support, like one dish in the sink at a time. No, seriously, support helps you to learn to focus on things and then get them resolved. It's a very simple workflow after all. Sometimes that will come in handy when writing code. Focus on one thing, get it right, then go on to the next. Helping out in support also acts as a great reminder whom you're actually working for. And that'll provide you with another perspective when it comes to implementing shiny new features like, does it really make sense to add 10 more fields to our sign-up page to get the user's address and shit? I know that's a little exaggerated, but you've probably got the gist of it. For the things we have to learn before we can do them, we learn by doing them. On a personal level, when working in support, you're forced to constantly learn new stuff, and mainly to learn them by doing. There's usually a user waiting for a reply. You can't just slack off them. You have to read up on Unicorns and Tunnels, for instance, to get the big picture. There's no way around that. So, for people working full-time in support, this can get tiresome after a while. And that's also why support people usually step back from answering tickets all day long every once in a while. But as a developer, you would probably love that. The last benefit of working in support is probably the most important one. Ultimately, on a personal level, you will have lots and lots of opportunities to practice empathy. Empathy, the experience of understanding another person's condition from their perspective. Chad Fowler recently blogged that empathy is the most important skill you can practice. It will lead to greater success personally and professionally, and will allow you to become happier the more you practice. Support is pretty much the perfect place to level up your own personal empathy due to the many different people you are interacting with. And it turned me from a constantly complaining sysadmin into a socializing, friendly human being. So if you want to be assured that I'm a socializing, friendly human being, feel free to follow up via Twitter or via mike@github.com. if you have any questions, you can just shoot me an email or tweet. And yeah, thank you for your time, and I hope you've enjoyed the talk. Any questions? Here's one.
Okay, so I'm working with the support team, and if I would like to, I'm a very good person to give support, but my problem is that our users are not developers most of the time, and I'm not native English, and my communication skills are missing for this thing. So that's maybe one problem, and yeah, maybe the other is that our support team using macros and very good tools to answer quickly and effectively things. On the other hand, I have to take that we are doing this occasionally, that developers giving support with the support team, but I think it depends on the product and the team.
Do you have an actual question for me, or? No, I don't want to blame you. Absolutely not. Was it a comment?
No, maybe I comment, but just my question is that how many people doing this? So everyone have to do this, or you just recommend it, or I'm very interested how it works in you.
Okay, got that. So the rules we've written down, they apply to almost any support action inside the company. And also to the people helping out with support from time to time. That's essentially written for them. Of course, it's always hard to, the audience you're giving support for is always a little different. Sometimes you have inexperienced users in front of you, sometimes you have capable developers. It's pretty much the same for us. Like, I see managers inquiring for Git workflows from time to time. That's pretty interesting because they tend to overly complicate things. And I try to get them back on the ground, mainly not to put too much stress on the developers who want to focus on actual code rather than Git workflows. But there are also developers, like when there's a major bug in one of our products, who are able to communicate well what's wrong with it. So it's always a question who you're talking to. And we also use quite a few tools, like we have canned replies for people who ask us what this permission denied thing is about when they try to clone a repository via SSH, for instance. In almost any case, you will get canned replies for that. Does that answer your question? Yes, perfect. Other questions?
Yes, we've got a few more. One is, so you don't have any multiple levels of support in GitHub?
No, we don't. Since the company doesn't have any management at all, we are all managing ourselves, so I have no one to report to. We also don't have different levels of support. It's entirely team-based, and we have people sitting in Asia, we have people sitting in Europe and in the US, and it's all based on teamwork. Like when somebody in Europe ends his shift, he's going to pass on the ticket to somebody else working in the US time zones, for instance. But there's no real way to escalate things. When there's a corrupted Git repository, for instance, we can ping the systems team, and on the systems team there are people who also commit to Git itself, like Michael Haggerty, for instance, or Pef. They are actively contributing to Git, and those Git corruptions, they can be quite heavy, debugging heavy. You need to spend a lot of time on that, and it's also it makes you afraid. So,
But I mean that this guy who is really an expert in Git can also do the level 1 support of something really crazy like 404, yeah?
yeah, if there's need, that would totally be cool. And also,
So you are not sparing his forces to really hard problems, you are exposing them also to ordinary problems.
that kind of depends. I mean, everyone on support kind of finds his own thing to work on or to focus on. Like James Dennis in the back, he focuses on API problems, while I'm mainly focusing on issues with Linux VM and not so much on Git corruptions. It's like it grows organically, and we also try to encourage people inside the support team to take on new adventures, like to learn more about Git itself or to learn more about Linux. That's the gist of it.
Sorry, I have a completely different question. How do you get to GitHub?
Well, first of all, I've been working for Zing.com 3 years long, and I was kind of upset of my daily commute, which took about four hours each day. I'm living in a small town, and it's a lot of wasted time. And I've seen on Twitter that they was looking for an enterprise support engineer, and I was reading the description and thought, oh well, that's my job. And at this time, I just applied, written an email, applied for it, and I wasn't really convinced that I would get the job. And then I got a Skype chat scheduled with another hubber, and he basically just put his thumbs up afterwards and said, we need to fly this guy over to San Francisco. And I've never been to the US before. So I took the scenic route over Iceland and Greenland to San Francisco and spent a day in the office in San Francisco with the other GitHubbers. And that's basically it. I mean, I went back to Germany and I was convinced that I wouldn't get the job. But once I've landed in Frankfurt am Main, I got the offer, so that was pretty cool. So most of our hires, they happen on a friend-by-friend basis, but there are also opportunities, like if there's a tweet that we're looking for somebody for a specific position, then it makes the most sense to apply. All right, no further questions? Thank you for your time. Oh.